All right, family, are you ready? You know what time it is. It's Biz Card Revoke time. I love this, and today's theme is scaling. So let's see who's going to be holding that card tight today.
Okay.
So, which one of these habits will get your biz card revoked the quickest when it comes time for scale? So, refusing to delegate, making every decision yourself, or running your business off memory instead of systems. I can relate to a lot of them three, but let's see. Which one do you think, Tommy? I think we start with you.
I'll go because if I know my partner, well, I already know where she's going. So I will start off by just saying making every decision yourself. So I'm gonna go with B. And what I mean by that is by trying to make all the decision based on your ability to scale, you're potentially hindering yourself from broadening your perspective of where growth opportunity can really happen. And so examples of that could be if you're looking to build your business and you are in need of some funding sources, as an example, you're going to need to get some assistance from financial institutions, advisors, or service professionals to be able to help you get a better understand on how to better manage the growth that you expect and really project and forecast the growth that you want to see. So I would say B, and using that example of saying trying to make all the decisions yourself. You don't have to make all the decisions yourself when you're growing.
Okay.
I'm going to go with A. Is that where you thought I was going?
No, I'm
Okay.
actually pretty shocked.
I'm going to go with A. Here's why. If you've been listening, paying attention, as something great, everything we do is based in the 5 small business development stages: existence, sustain, success, takeoff, and maturity. The hardest thing for entrepreneurs to do, this is a skill set we have to have, is to be able to run the day to day while looking towards the future. What makes that hard is because we think we have to do all of that by ourselves, running the day to day and looking towards the future. The magic to being able to do that effectively is delegation. Because then while you're running the day to day, you're going to be able to say, I don't have to do everything today, and I can keep a percentage of my brain on what's happening and moving forward. That happens in that third stage of business development and success. It's where entrepreneurs that I deal with, after we diagnose what's happening in their business, where they normally realize that they failed because they didn't let go. Success happens when you learn how to let go a little bit, delegate to move your business forward. That's how you're going to move it to that next level. So I'm going to say refusing to delegate will get your biz card revoked.
Well, I think that refusing to delegate, as long as you have someone to delegate to, that's always important. That's usually the downfall in a lot of our businesses is if we're a small business, we don't always have somebody to delegate to, specifically if it's a management delegation that we're trying to delegate. But if you do, that's a big problem. If you don't delegate to that person, and making every decision yourself, if you have another person that's going to help you to make that decision and you try to be the decision maker yourself, is another problem. But again, if you're a small business and you are the decision maker, there's always that decision that's a challenge when you're making it because you're the only one to make that decision. And then again, running your business off of memory instead of systems. We didn't touch that one. I noticed you
We
did.
didn't.
But that's a problem too, because again, you got the system, which could be your business plan. And if you're not using that and you're going off the memory of, well, I think I want to do this, you're using your brain that might be off of the plan that you created with your business plan. That's never going to work. So, that's why today's episode is called Scaling Beyond Survival, because it's going to we need to look at how to expand the capacity while building a long-term game that we're looking to do. So let's try and figure out how we're going to do all that. And today we're welcoming you to Tracey's Keeping It Real with the strength and strategy where we're spotlighting the Black businesses and the stories that shape our community. So today's conversation is about scaling beyond survival because many businesses plagued not from lack of efforts, plateau rather. Okay, so now I got to get that part back. Plateau not from the lack of effort, but from staying stuck in survival mode. Mm. We're talking about how to expand capacity, delegate effectively, and position yourself for a long-term sustainable growth. I'm your host, Tracey, and joined by my co-host, community leader and strategist, Tommy McNeal, and business and leadership development consultant, Octavia Treadwell.
Yep.
All right, so I'm so excited to have the two of you with me this afternoon, and we're going to dive right into talking about many businesses plateau because they never shift from survival scaling and surviving to scaling. So many businesses plateau because they never shift from surviving to scaling. This discussion unpacks how to expand capacity, delegate efficiently, and position from long-term growth. So we're going to cover the mindset shift from doing it all, the mindset shift from doing it all to leading through others. So how are we going to do that?
Man, that's the golden ticket right there. That is the golden ticket for entrepreneurs. When you can figure out how to shift your brain from doing it all to leading through others. When we talk about delegation, I want to make the point too that it's not always about another person in your space. Sometimes delegation represents I hired somebody else to build my website. Sometimes delegation means I hire somebody else to manage my orders that are coming in, right? That could be a third party, a virtual assistant or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody in the space. But in order to get to that place, you have to be able to let go of the reins of what you are building. Mm-hmm. And that is really, it is a mental shift. It's a mindset shift. Because we got into entrepreneurship taking everything in our brains to be able to say, we're going to do something crazy. We're going to believe in something crazy and we're going to give it everything we got. And so you start building from that place, right? And you build it and you're starting to see success and things are taking off and you building your community and you building your client base and all those things, but never really keeping track of, is my brain still in that beginning entrepreneur mode where I feel like I have to do everything? So part of it is, for somebody who's just getting started, pay attention to the way that you are thinking about your business. Pay attention to the way that you are making decisions. These are things that we don't always give ourselves time to do. And then if you've been in business for a while and it's hard to separate, like, I don't even know how I think about what, or I don't even know all the jobs that I have. Tommy and I always say, if you talk to Something Great or you talk to McNeal Management, our role is not to speed you up, it is to slow you down. So if you want to create the kind of awareness that allows for this mind shift, you're going to have to slow down and think about what are you doing in your business, how you make decisions in order to really make that mindset shift from thinking you have to do it all in order to bring somebody else in to help.
Yeah, because I can't, you got to help people understand, I think, a little bit, Tav, here. How do they, because you talk about, you start your own business, and you are doing it all, because it's not a lot you're doing, because you're ramping up. Mm-hmm. So you're slowly ramping up, and you're getting going, and you're in your mind, and you're in your head, and you're learning, kind of as you're going, you're learning, because you're building your foundation, so you are doing it all. And most of us don't have the luxury of starting off with a full team.
Correct.
So we have to kind of start it, doing it all. But then all of a sudden, now you have people. So now you're leading through them, basically doing the work. How do you, if you're not able to then keep, but you've been going all along, so now you have to be able to transfer your knowledge to them and have them doing it the way you want to. So you got to help people understand how that transition happens, because it happens before you know it.
Yeah. If I can add, spending close to 25 years in corporate, right? And going through a series of change management processes. The one thing that I would say to entrepreneurs is to be able to have a proactive mindset, right? Most of the time, most business owners are very in reactive mode.
Mm-hmm.
They're predicting they're trying to predict what could happen, not necessarily advancing from a growth mindset of what should happen. Let me repeat that. They're trying to project what could happen versus changing their mindset to project what should happen.
Mm-hmm.
And what should happen is, as they are growing, that they are putting processes in place, job descriptions, as well as job responsibilities should be happening as you go. And you should be benchmarking when these things should occur. So if I am a new business owner and I am the laborer who does all the work, my initial goal is to be able to provide myself some assistance with some of the work that I don't have to directly be responsible for. Mm-hmm. And I should be, as a new business owner, as I'm doing it all, documenting that so that as I start to recruit and bring in individuals, I could now allocate that responsibility to that individual so that I know how I should be managing
Mm-hmm.
that particular responsibility that this person holds.
Mm-hmm.
As you continue to build out your business, that will also look similar to different roles of responsibility. Now, the ultimate goal of projecting out what you should do is eventually, from a scaling perspective, you want to take yourself, if you're the visionary and the doer, you want to eventually take yourself out of the laboring role so that someone else carries the responsibility that you once did. But that's how you grow. If you are pretty much employed by your own business, then you have to ask yourself, are you really in entrepreneurship? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you have to be there to do the work, to generate the revenue, to get the,
That's good.
like you're now employed. So that means if you're, God forbid, that you get sick or something happens where you're no longer are directly responsibility and the business can't run on its own, then you're not really prepared to scale. Mm-hmm. You're only prepared to scale if you're projecting out what should happen, and that is putting systems in place so that it's designed to be able to recruit so that you are able to lead others in a way that would allow your business to grow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So here's an exercise that people can go through to get here. Because Tommy mentioned change management, right? That's the technical term for the work that we're talking about, is to be able to see when your business is ready for that change and then have tools or resources in place to make that change happen. Part of the challenge is change management becomes a reactive resource in and of itself. It should be a tool used for projections and, to Tommy's point, seeing where your business should be going. But we only do change management when change presents itself that is absolutely necessary in the moment. Mm-hmm. So a tool that we use, what I would encourage anybody to do, whether you're getting started or whether your business has some age to it, sit down and think about, as the visionary, all of the roles that you are going to need in your business between now and the next 3 years. Chart that out so that you are very clear and aware of what you are doing and what role you're filling. The challenge is we think CEO is account manager. It's not. It's just CEO. It's the person responsible for the vision and the bottom line of the business. To put it short, right? But we encompass CEO every single task in the organization. Go through this exercise and build out every single role that you think you're going to need in the next 3 years, so you could be conscious of when you're playing each of those roles and when one of those roles is ready to be taken off of your plate to be moved to somebody else's plate. That helps you start to look at what your business should be doing. And then now you're not reacting to what's happening in your organization. Now you can say, we think in year 2, we're going to need this. And now we're ready to hire that person because we followed our business plan and met the goals that created the space for that change management.
I love it, and I would just take one step further because I just kind of went through some of this myself not long ago. Although I'm running a 91-year-old business, it's just been ran like a family business for so many years, and we just bring people in and kind of throw them into the seat and let them go, and more corporately trying to run it more efficiently in the later years, and not realizing that we didn't have a lot of job descriptions. So now you know what you need, but you don't have job descriptions. And so getting them ready too. So you might know what you need. You just said, think about what you need, but then create the job descriptions along the way too. So when they come in the door,
perfect,
you're ready. You're not still trying to figure out, okay, what's the people say, well, what's my job description? Well, you're going to do this and that and the other.
Right. And we be making it up as we go along. Yeah.
I know. Then when you ask them to do something, well, you didn't say I had to do it. So job descriptions are important as well. So
perfect.
So, one of the other things we need to cover then is how to use systems and data to make confident scaling decisions, because that's the other thing we don't do well.
Yeah, we don't like to look at the numbers.
We don't at all.
We don't like to look at the numbers because it is really an accountability piece that we're not willing to own. We're taking from Peter to pay Paul. We're taking out our personal funds in order to run our business. It's not very effective. We don't understand what tax codes are. We don't understand how to be able to measure our success based on our performance. And as a result, we walk into situations as we're looking to get a grant or a loan or some other resource, and we're not fully prepared, right? So most times that I'm having these discussions, I'm asking for, what are your cash flow? What does your profit and loss statement look like? Let me see your accounting sheets. Only because I'm not trying to get into your business, but I'm trying to get into your business.
Well, yeah, in a way that's helpful.
Because it's going to help me to understand what kind of decisions are you making. If you're sacrificing from areas that you need and there's a ton of waste as a part of your business, then you need to reevaluate if the decisions that you've been making as a result of your bottom line, how is that impacting your business? And so more times than not, when it comes to scaling, we don't really understand that we need to be preparing to scale prior to scaling. We just automatically wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to just buy me another food truck.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you haven't measured the success of what that looked like to even determine if this is going to be successful. You just see it as an investment and that you will figure it out as you go. But all along, you're creating more work for yourself. So you have to be able to put systems in place and know that those things are going to happen behind the scenes before the actual scaling starts.
Yeah, and you're thinking you made some money, that's why you want to hurry up and buy another truck.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. The other thing I would add to that too is from a data perspective, it doesn't always have to look like numbers. Sometimes data as it relates to, am I ready to grow? That could be testimonials from your clients. That could be case studies, right? Do you have enough to show that I've done this thing over and over and over again, and the result that I thought that it was going to yield is actually the result that we're seeing? And I think a huge part of this conversation is it takes time. Data is not one client here, one client there, you got a really large contract. That's not data, right? That's building and growing and figuring out business. It takes time to build enough data to really prove that what you have set out to do is going to be effective. If that's a restaurant, then you need to have a space there where people, now we have these walls where everybody wants to take a picture. Don't let them just take their picture and walk away. Have a camera there where people give testimonials, right? Man, this food was so good. Start gathering the data so you have enough to prove to yourself what we're doing is working. And then you can use that to then determine, okay, this is something we have to build on now. If we got really good at making this soup, now we can make the soup and the chicken, right? But we go straight into, let's have the whole menu. We got breakfast, we got brunch, we got dinner, we got all the things, instead of really giving ourselves time to prove level by level that what we're doing is effective.
Yeah, and I love that. And the reason I love that is because it's going to be really important as you are starting to focus on forecasting 3 to 5 to 10 years out. If you're really committed to this work of entrepreneurship, you're going to need to make sure that you have all of that. The testimonies, the accreditations through the various bureaus,
Mm-hmm.
the certifications. Are you investing into yourself in preparation? Are you going through some leadership development courses? Are you taking on more certifications around your trade or your craft? Not just YouTubing it, but just really getting the documentation that you need in order for folks to see you who's investing into your business or service, see you in a different way, that you've made an investment back into yourself, right? The Strength and Strategy Lab is an example of that. Like, you spending money to come in and being able to get poured into is important, because now folks are really looking at you differently than it was when you first started out your business. You now start to build the accreditation and the credibility that a lot of our community needs in order to justify your existence. It's unfortunate that, if we keeping it real, it's unfortunate that our people need to see that you put in that work.
It's true.
If they don't see that, then you are finding yourself constantly behind the 8 ball and trying to figure out, why am I not able to get to the next level? Well, the people that we typically serve in our community needs to be able to see that you're putting emphasis on your business so that you're prepared. And then finally, the banks need to know that they have the testimonies, right? The community loves you, but then you also have the formal documentation to back it up. Do you have the last 2 to 5 years worth of taxes done? Do you have what your projections are for the next 3 to 5 years? Do you have that information, and are you able to package that up in a position that will set you up for success in the long run?
I like it. I like it. So I want to challenge all of you today to, after that wonderful discussion we just had, we want to challenge all of you today to identify one process you can automate, delegate, or eliminate, because we all have them that we can eliminate, to decide on whether this is something that is scalable or not. So just check your businesses, check yourself, keep it real, because something's going to make it so that you can do one of them three, and it's going to make a difference in your day. So remember, Tracy's keeping it real with strength and strategy. And until next time, remember, we're hoping your business is strong.